People often ask me, what's in the name? Well, my name's Ken Martin. I'm a chairperson of Tour Guides Northern Ireland, the most innovative, enthusiastic, entertaining bunch of guys you'll ever get. But more importantly, beside me and on my t-shirt, we have Hollywood. Hollywood's just been voted a few weeks ago by the Times newspaper as the best place to live in Northern Ireland, or Ulster. So Americans quite often say to me, what's the difference between Hollywood, County Down and Hollywood, California? And here's the difference. There's one hell of a difference. The building behind me is the old Ferry of Hollywood, and it should really be pronounced Holywood. But it's an interesting place. Between here and Bangor, which is the main stop, there are plenty of places to visit in North Down. A little bit historical, a little bit light-hearted. You'll find that there's plenty of places to eat, plenty of entertainment, and along the way, it's only a 15-minute drive, along the way you'll see plenty of things that will interest you and entertain you. So if you'd like to come with me, I'll introduce you to North Down. We're standing on the beautiful beach here at Hollywood, but the beach runs all the way about 9 miles right down to Bangor. To my right hand side and slightly behind me are the Belfast Hills, now owned by a National Trust. Wonderful place to walk. Fantastic, you've got everything here, but I better get off the beach before the tide comes in. Welcome to Bangor Abbey. This abbey was founded in 558 by St Congal. Fell into disuse over the centuries for various reasons, but it's a very important historical site. Without abbeys, there would almost certainly be no towns in Ireland. So this was re-established in 1140 by St Malachy and had important contacts and meaning for the whole of Europe. They travelled abroad and what were effectively missionaries. So North Down has lots of examples of it. Come and see them. You'll not be disappointed.
How you doing? My name is Richard Orr. I am a Tour Guides Northern Ireland Blue Badge Level 4 tour guide, and I also run Best Fast tours. That's Best Fast as opposed to Belfast. And here we are today at Nendrum Monastic Site in glorious County Down on Mahee Island, which actually juts out into Strangford Log, but it is actually connected to the mainland, if you want to put it that way, of Northern Ireland or the north of Ireland or Ulster. Let's stick with Ulster. So here behind me, right on the shores of the glorious Strangford Log, we have the oldest known tide mill in the world. This was excavated in 1999. Now it doesn't look like very much. You can see the little wall there because fortunately we're at low tide, so nature is helping us out today. But that actually dates back to 619 AD. Now, okay, so it's not just as old as the Great Pyramids of Giza. They're about what, 2,500 years old. But this is 1,500 years old, and you can see it right here at Nendrum Monastic Site in glorious County Down in Northern Ireland. So let's take a wee walk around the site. Now, how Northern Irish am I? I'm saying we. Everything is we in Northern Ireland. Do you want a wee cup of tea? I'm a wee man from Northern Ireland. But here we have the remnants of what was a round tower here at Nendrum Monastic Site. So this was a Benedictine Monastery, and it was abandoned around the 15th century. Excavations took place here between 1922 and 1924 by a man called Lawler, and that's whenever some of these ruins were actually unearthed. As you can see, the site really comprises of ruins. Sometimes if you go to places on mainland Europe, I remember going to Varna, etc., and seeing the ruins of Roman baths, and I thought, why am I going to see an old ruin? I mean, I know plenty of old ruins, but why am I going to see some old ruins? I thought it wouldn't be very interesting. But what's interesting about this place here at Nendrum is not only the beautiful aspect of the area that it's actually in here on the, overlooking Strangford Log. It's the fact that it's quite remote. It's about 15 miles from Belfast, but it's like another world, and you have to access the place by a narrow little road. It's not too narrow, however, because I have actually seen a massive tour bus here before. This is an example of one of the earliest known sundials in the world. So this dates back to 900 AD. Okay, so that itself there, that's about 1200 years old. So this is a fine example of an early medieval sundial, and of course it's here at that Nendrum monastic site. So there's a Hollywood connection here, because over here there's this little house. This little cottage was built in the early 20th century, and it was built by a man called Theodore Flynn. Theodore Flynn was, of course, the father of Errol Flynn, the well-known swashbuckling star of movies like Robin Hood, etc. in the 1930s. And his father, Theodore, actually taught at Queen's University. He was part of the science department there, and he built this little cottage. It's unusual in its construction because a lot of the houses built in Northern Ireland, or indeed in the Greater Ireland, would have been constructed of stone. In the early 20th century, stone or brick. But this is built of wood. It's currently used as a little visitor centre. I should say a wee visitor centre, shouldn't I? It's currently used as a little visitor centre. And as you can see, as I said, it's made of wood and it's constructed in a Tasmanian style because Theodore Flynn and of course Errol were both from Tasmania. So there's a strange link to have here at this monastic site in County Down in Northern Ireland.
Well, behind me slightly to the right is Strangford Log. This tower commands the entire district. It is known as Scrabble Tower. It's actually a reference to the hill, which means scraggy in Irish. The tower itself is a monument to the third Marquess of Londonderry, whose estate, Mount Stewart, is just a little bit further up the loch. The loch is very famous. It's the biggest inlet in the British Isles, and it's cut off from the town by a series of floodgates introduced in 1811. Those floodgates meant that Strangford Log itself produces a microclimate which is wonderful for growing potatoes.
Here we are at the top of Scrabble Hill at Scrabble Tower, and it's blowy as you can see. It's really windy up here, so if you're coming up here, and unless it's an extremely hot day, always bring some sort of weather protection, i.e. like a coat or a jacket or something, because it's a bit cold as well. But right behind me is Strangford Log, which is the largest sea inlet in the whole of the United Kingdom. And that peninsula there, that's known as the Orange Peninsula. Scrabble Hill overlooks the town of Newton Orange, okay, which also has its own very small airport for light aviation, not jetliners or anything like that. The Orange Peninsula actually reaches down about 30-35 miles, and there's a number of lovely little towns and villages that can be visited down there. I always think, you know, Belfast has like Northern Ireland has got 3 Rivieras. One is, of course, the Antrim Coast Road, which is superb. Then you've got the stretch of coast between Newcastle and Warren Point. That's another kind of Riviera. But we've also got this. So this is a beautiful coastal drive that you can take all the way around the peninsula, and you can come back around the other side, so you don't even have to turn back on yourself. There's also a little ferry right at the very, very end of Strangford Log there, which is kind of the opening where it opens into the main sea, because it is a tidal loch, hence we calling it a sea inlet. There's a little town called Ferry, and you can get a ferry right the way across to another little town called Strangford. And the ferry ride is like about 5 minutes, but it's absolutely beautiful, and it's a car ferry, so it costs about £6. So that's a wonderful trip that you can make while you're in Northern Ireland. And again, you know, on a beautiful sunny day, you get a great